Hi there, it's Justin Constantine. It's Friday, June 5th, and as we head into the weekend, I just wanted to share a few thoughts with you. June is National PTSD Awareness Month, and I want to address this and some other related topics because, well, frankly, a friend of mine attempted suicide very recently, and so it made me start thinking a little more deeply about some of these topics. With PTSD, and I can speak authoritatively around it as someone who has PTSD and went to treatment counseling for 18 months. You know, when we think about PTSD in this country, we typically think of veteran and someone who's gone terribly wrong and a broken person. But the reality is that in the post 9/11 generation, 400,000 or 500,000 of us coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan have PTSD at some level, and there's a huge spectrum there, so it can mean many different things. And that sounds like a large number, but the reality is, in a country as large as America, about 8% of Americans get PTSD, will have PTSD in their life. And that comes out to about 25 million people. So compare 25 million to 500,000. You'll see we're just a sliver of American society. And this is something that I have talked about before and worked through. But right now, I think it's poignant for us to talk about because people who are not in the military get PTSD from a number of ways, whether it's car accidents, which happen thousands of them, day in and day out. Natural disasters, we're in the middle of a pandemic unlike we've seen in modern history before. From physical assaults and violent assaults, that's going on around us as well. Growing up in challenging neighborhoods and other reasons as well. So there's a lot of reasons that people around the country could be triggered right now. A lot of vulnerable people out there. And so I want to address that and say that, you know, watching the news can be challenging. There are some heavy issues. There is a civil rights movement going on right now. We've seen the stories of George Floyd and, you know, Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor and how they were murdered and what happened with them. And it's heart-wrenching and terrible and shouldn't be happening in 2020. And for each of their three names, there's many others. These are institutional issues that we need to fix, but these are triggering issues for many across America, and that can't be ignored. And so this weekend, you know, let me back up and say one thing that I would like to do, I'm going to be doing is reaching out to people. We are social animals, and we like connectivity, and communication is important. Even when you think about someone who's vulnerable, you might think someone who doesn't ever get out much and doesn't have a chance to talk to other people. Well, it could be a person who in your office before was the office prankster or someone who was the life of a party, but he or she no longer has that social outlet, no longer has that communication, that energy to feed from. So any of your friends could fall in this category. And so I'm gonna take a small step, which is reaching out to 3 friends this weekend. I'm gonna give them a phone call or FaceTime. It's not email and it's not text. I'm gonna connect with them face to face, or actually using a phone the way it was originally designed for. And so I hope others do the same thing. That's just a small effort. That's not addressing the much larger efforts that are going on. And although these are some heavy issues that we are facing, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a lot of hope and a lot of resilience and a lot of inspiration going on. We're seeing people, especially younger people, connecting in ways that we have never before done. We've seen protests around this country, around the world, trying to refocus our efforts on legislation like in Louisville, so these things don't happen again. Making sure people are charged appropriately, like in George Floyd's case. And so we can look and see positive change. It takes a lot of hard work, and that's happening. Bigger groups are coming together, as I said, in unprecedented ways. What I'm focusing on this weekend is just a small little thing. Reaching out to 3 friends. Hopefully they'll benefit from it. I know I will. And so maybe you will too. And if you are feeling triggered, if you do feel like you need some help, ask for it. Asking for help, if you see me talk on anything, you've heard me say asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It shows you're mature and you're confident and you know that asking for help is a good thing. I ask for help all the time. If you want to reach out to me, if I can help you, I will. And so I hope everyone has that same attitude. Thank you.